Hello, this is Mr. Chabry, and we are here with another narrated Pokemon battle. So this is going to be a battle against Batosi, and what we're using is basically a mixed tier type thing here. Basically Pokemon from different tiers. And on my team, the Pokemon I'm excited about using this time is actually going to be Mega Houndoom. That's a Pokemon I haven't used in such a long time, and it's actually really good. So right off the bat, I'm going to lead off with my Torkoal, as my opponent's actually going to lead off with the Golduck that has Cloud 9. So that's going to prevent the Drought from having any effect. So honestly, I can't stay in here. A water type move is going to devastate us. I'm going to go ahead and go into Roserade here, as my opponent's actually going to go for a Calm Mind. So that's actually not good for me, because Roserade is a special attacker, and I know Golduck does have access to some psychic moves, so that's actually kind of scary. I'm going to go ahead and Leaf Storm here, try to get as much damage as I can on this thing, and we almost take it out. Not quite take it out, but we almost do. And my opponent's going to go ahead and get another Calm Mind here, but I'm actually okay with that, because we can take this thing out with another Leaf Storm pretty easily, even after we get that stat reduction and my opponent gets a stat boost with that special defense. So we're just going to go ahead and finish this thing off with another Leaf Storm. I'm really glad my opponent didn't go for a Psychic, because that would have devastated us. And Roserade's actually still a very good Pokemon in this. So now my opponent's actually going to go into Nidoking, and I'm going to go into Araquanid. Araquanid is a very good specially defensive Mon, and I don't want to stay in with Roserade because Nidoking has a lot of options that it can use against us, but Araquanid takes the Flamethrower very well. That's one thing about Araquanid. It can take fire moves very good. I'm going to go ahead and get a Sticky Web up. It's going to help out against a few Pokemon. Ninetales does have decent speed on my opponent's side, and so does the Nidoking, so if we can slow those down, that would be good. Going to go Torkoal here. Torkoal is my physically defensive Mon on this team, and really it's the only one that I trust bringing in, as my opponent goes for a Swords Dance. And now my opponent's going to go for a Brave Bird. So this Skarmory is actually a physically offensive Skarmory. It's not really going to do that much to Torkoal, even with the stat boost. Most Skarmories are a defensive Skarmory, just because it has such good defense and utility. But the thing about Skarmory, it doesn't have that great special defense, and it's weak to fire. So we just go for a Lava Plume and take it out. So now my opponent brings in the Aurorus here. We get the speed drop on that thing, which is nice. And I'm going to actually go into Cobalion. I don't know exactly what it's going to do, as instead it's going to go for Ancient Power. I thought it might have a Rock-type move, so going in Cobalion is actually a good play, mainly because this thing is a Steel Fighting type. It resists Rock very nicely, so we can take hits and scare this thing out with a Fighting type move. Now my opponent brings in that Nidoking. I'm going to Flash Cannon instead, because Flash Cannon is still quad super effective against the Aurorus. You know, it's quad weak to Steel and Fighting, both types. But my opponent brings in the Nidoking, and I'm going to actually go into my Araquanid here, as instead of going Flamethrower, my opponent goes Earth Power. That works out very nicely though, because that would have still done a lot to Cobalion. But Araquanid actually takes that very well, so Araquanid is doing a lot of work here. Unfortunately, the Sludge Wave will be enough to finish it off, but I'm not too worried about that. I'm going to go ahead, go into my Nihilego here. Nihilego does not want to take a ground-type move at all, but we have Hidden Power Ice on this thing, and Hidden Power Ice will devastate this Nidoking. And not only that, we get a nice stat boost now. We're getting a special attack boost. That's going to be very nice for us. This is a Scarfed Nihilego though, so we are locked into Hidden Power Ice, which actually isn't a good thing against this Aurorus. I do know Aurorus does have good special defense, and Hidden Power Ice isn't doing much, so I'm going to have to switch here. Cobalion is honestly the safest switch, as this thing ends up revealing that it has Psychic. So that's actually going to hurt Cobalion a little bit, but, you know, Cobalion is really nice and bulky too, so it doesn't even do half there. So now my opponent brings in the Ninetales, and actually I'm okay with this, because that means now the sun will be up and that way my Houndoom can actually do some work here in the end game. I'm going to Focus Blast this turn. I could have Flash Cannon, but I thought Focus Blast would be safer, and it ends up being safer too because it takes more damage on the Ninetales than would Flash Cannon would have done. I'm going to go Houndoom here, expecting a Fire-type move. I have Flash Fire on Houndoom, and once I Mega Evolve, I will have Solar Power. So, if you don't know, Solar Power is a really, really good ability in the sun. You lose some health, but it boosts your special attack, and that's actually very, very good. And since we know this Ninetales isn't Flash Fire, it's Drought, that's actually very good too, because I can hit it with a Fire-type move. Of course, I would rather go Dark Pulse against it. And another good thing is this Auroras does not have the Hell, the Snow Warning, so we don't have to worry about losing the Sun. I'm going to Dark Pulse though. That would have been the best thing against the Ninetales, and it works fine against Auroras to get chip damage. And now I'm just going to Fire Blast. We got the Flash Fire boost, we're in the sun, we have Solar Power boost. That will devastate Auroras completely. So now Houndoom is looking very, very good. I love this Pokemon, and I'm glad to get some use out of it. Now my opponent brings in the Levani, and honestly, Levani is not really going to do much. I know most of the time they do have Sash, but this one ends up not having a Sash. And even if it had a Sash, we still would have been able to live pretty much everything it would have went for, I'm pretty sure. But that just leaves the Ninetales, and honestly, I don't think there's much that Ninetales can do to us. So we're just going to go ahead and Dark Pulse this thing and get some nice damage on this Ninetales and completely take it out. So Mega Houndoom coming in for the victory. I love Mega Houndoom. It's a Pokemon I haven't used in such a long time, and it actually looks very nice. It works very nice on a Sun team. It's just a good Pokemon. So if you like this, give it a thumbs up, subscribe. And what's a Mega that you haven't used in a while? Go ahead, put that in the comments. I'd like to know, and I'll see you in the next Pokemon video.